Today, the United States Corps of Cadets will conduct the fourth class acceptance parade, at which time the class of 2028 will be formally accepted into the Corps of Cadets. While the cadets assemble for the parade, we would like to give you a brief history of the actions we will observe on the parade today. Military drill has played a fundamental role in the history of soldiers. Drill prepared troops for battle, but for the most part, the drill procedures from the days of old were taught the actual battlefield maneuvers. It was this realistic aspect of drill that made it such an important part of training. Even today, as new weapons call for new tactics, drill remains a necessary and useful training activity. Over 200 years ago, the problem of training an army already at war confronted the founders of our nation. Suffering from lack of organization, discipline, and teamwork, George Washington's Continental Army continually lost to the superior British forces. Washington recognized the poor state of morale and hired a distinguished Prussian officer who specialized in the instruction of drill and discipline. Baron von Steuben arrived at Valley Forge in the winter of 1778 to face an army of several thousand half-starved, ragged men. He immediately set to work writing drill regulations for a company of 120 soldiers chosen from various units in the Continental Army. Discipline soon became the cornerstone of military life for the soldiers of the model company as they learned to obey commands without hesitation. By mastering the art of drill through teamwork, the men developed a collective sense of pride in themselves and their unit. Observers watching the model company were astonished to see how quickly and orderly the troops formed and maneuvered into different battle formations. Later, General Washington distributed the members of the model company throughout the Army to teach what they had been taught. Through this simple emphasis on drill, the effectiveness and efficiency of the Continental Army greatly improved. In 1779, to ensure continuity and uniformity, von Steuben wrote the American Army's first field manual, the Regulations for the Order and Discipline of Troops of the United States, commonly referred to as the Blue Book. You will see the cadets saluting the parade on the command of "Present Arms." Since the earliest of times, men of arms have used some form of salute as a means of greeting one another. In the age of chivalry, horse-mounted knights wore steel armor which completely covered the face and body. When two friendly knights met, they would each lift their visors with their right hand to expose their faces to each other and use their left hand to hold the horse's reins. Not only did this allow the knights to recognize each other, but it was also a deliberate movement of their sword hand away from their swords. Over time, this action became a significant gesture of friendship, camaraderie, and respect. The act of raising the right hand to the visor continued even after steel body armor became obsolete with the invention of modern firearms. Today, the most commonly observed form of this exchange is the hand salute. It is given as a recognition and friendly greeting to a comrade in the honorable profession of arms. For today's parade, spectators are reminded to stand and render appropriate courtesies for honors, our national anthem, and when the colors pass your position. It is appropriate for civilians at these times to stand with the right hand placed over the heart. Veterans and currently serving members of the U.S. Armed Forces who are not in uniform may render the hand salute. Spectators are also reminded not to smoke and to please refrain from loud talking during the parade. As a courtesy to others seated around you, kindly take all of your pictures from your seat throughout the ceremony. Today's parade represents the acceptance of the class of 2028 into the Corps of Cadets. This parade also signifies the promotion of the class of 2028 from new cadets to cadet privates. The class of 2027 was promoted to the rank of cadet corporal in a ceremony at Camp Buckner. The classes of 2026 and 2025 were promoted to the ranks of cadet sergeant and cadet officer, respectively, in ceremonies conducted in May at the end of graduation week. Shortly, you will observe two formations of cadet units facing each other on the plain. The class of 2028, led by the Brigade Command Sergeant Major, Cadet Command Sergeant Major Slade Streeter, will form to your immediate front facing the upper class companies they will soon join.
Currently assembled on the plane is the United States Military Academy Band and the band's field music group, the Hellcats. At the time of the American Revolution, the band consisted of a single drummer and fifer and has evolved into one of the most capable and professional performing groups in the world. As the oldest music organization in the United States Army, the West Point Band has been inspiring American leaders for over 200 years. The bugle call just heard was attention. It is used to alert the cadet commanders that adjutant's call is about to sound, signaling the start of the parade. Bugle calls are used in the military service of the United States as a direct result of the contact of the Continental Army with European soldiers and armies during the Revolutionary period. Marching in today's parade are cadets from allied nations enrolled in the 4-year program at the United States Military Academy. Upon graduation, they will serve in the armed forces of their respective countries. There are currently 60 allied cadets representing 31 different countries as members of the Corps Cadets. 16 allied cadets are members of the class of 2028. Also marching in today's parade are exchange midshipmen from the United States Naval Academy, cadets from the United States Air Force Academy, and the United States Coast Guard Academy. They are attending West Point for the fall semester and can be identified by the uniform of their respective academies. A similar number of West Point cadets are attending the other service academies for the same period. The marches that will be played as the cadets march to the plane are the Regiment's Return and On Parade.
marches that will be played as the United States Military Academy Band Troops the Line are National Emblem and Washington Post. This march across the front of the line is said to have originated with the Crusades. The troops offering themselves for service were drawn up in a long formation, and the band countermarched only before those chosen to serve. The commander of troops for today's parade is the brigade commander, Cadet First Captain Caroline Robinson from Mountain Brook, Alabama. Her staff consists of the brigade adjutant, Cadet Captain Brooks Johnson from Woodstock, Georgia, the brigade executive officer, Cadet Captain Shepard Zena from New York, New York, the brigade intelligence officer, Cadet Captain Julia Ferris from Newark, Delaware, the brigade operations officer, Cadet Captain Eric Rodriguez from Zenith, Missouri, the brigade information systems officer, Cadet Captain Owen Hodges from Gurnee, Illinois, the brigade honor captain, Cadet Captain Gabriela Sorrentino from Monroe Township, New Jersey, the brigade act captain, Cadet Captain Ashley Schote from Las Vegas, Nevada. Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2028. First marching to their respective academic year companies are Charlie, Foxtrot, and India. Second, marching to their respective academic year companies are Bravo, Echo, and Hotel. The march being played as the fourth class takes their position in the corps is the Rookies. Lastly, marching to their respective academic year companies are Alpha, Delta, and Golf. In the reviewing stands today are leaders and representatives of West Point classes and societies. These alumni are proud to be here today to represent the long gray line, which now stretches over 200 years. Representatives from the classes of 1975, 1976, 1977, and 1978 are seated in the Superintendent's Review Box today as part of the West Point Association of Graduates 50-year affiliation program that connects the senior classes with the current four classes in the Corps of Cadets. With us today is Mr. Timothy F. Sugrove, Jr., class of 1975, Lieutenant Colonel Retired Buzz Moser, class of 1976, Colonel Retired James R. Malcolm, class of 1977, and Mr. Robert E. Rogers II, class of 1978. The reviewing party for today's parade consists of Lieutenant General Steve Gilland, Superintendent, United States Military Academy, class of 1990. Command Sergeant Major Phil Barretto, Command Sergeant Major of the United States Military Academy. Brigadier General R.J. Garcia, Commandant of the United States Corps of Cadets, class of 1996. Command Sergeant Major Anthony Powers, Command Sergeant Major of the United States Corps of Cadets. And Brigadier General Shane R. Reeves, Dean of the Academic Board, class of 1996. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for honors and remain standing for the playing of the national anthem. Please feel free to sing along as our national anthem is played. Thank you. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of our alma mater, the most beloved of all West Point songs. The words to the alma mater were written by Cadet Paul S. Reinke during his second year at the Academy. On June 9, 1912, 1 year after Reinke's graduation, the alma mater was sung at the baccalaureate service for the first time and took its place as a musical expression of the feelings of every West Point graduate towards their alma mater. Alumni traditionally remove their headgear and stand at attention for the playing of the alma mater. You are cordially invited to sing along with us as the alma mater is played. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The pass and review serves two functions for the superintendent. It dismisses the cadets. While the pass and review dismisses the cadets, it at the same time provides an opportunity to inspect the state of discipline and training. The marches that will be played as the cadets pass and review are America Exultant, the official West Point March, Saber and Spurs, Inver Cargill, Black Horse Troop, and The Army Goes Rolling Along.
The United States Military Academy Band is under the direction of the commander and conductor, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Tovin, and the drum major, Master Sergeant Nathan Eby. The 1st Regiment is commanded by Cadet Captain Ava Spinar from Lincoln, Nebraska. The Regimental Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Edward Chen from Madison, Wisconsin. The 1st Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Johann Lim from Meridian, Idaho. The Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Andrew Sanchez from Carmel, Indiana. Company A is commanded by Cadet Captain Adam Fatabeni from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Austin Heminger from Imperial, Pennsylvania. Company B is commanded by Cadet Captain Connor Bryan from Kewanee, Illinois. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Ella Campbell from Coarsecold, California. Company C is commanded by Cadet Captain Hunter Howell from Edna, Texas. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Leah Stokes from Raleigh, North Carolina. The 2nd Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Pierce Ederle from Houston, Texas. The Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Evan Asuncion from Bethesda, Maryland. Company D is commanded by Cadet Captain Isaac Bond from Cumming, Georgia. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Samuel Olson from Woodbury, Minnesota. Company E is commanded by Cadet Captain Justin Yee from Sewanee, Georgia. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Chris Tamer from Dexter, Michigan. Company F is commanded by Cadet Captain Grace Rulin from Corning, New York. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant William Dark from Atlanta, Georgia. The 3rd Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Nicholas Flood from Hilton Head, South Carolina. The Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Trayvon Buchanan from Chicago, Illinois. Company G is commanded by Cadet Captain Wyatt Richardson from New Braunfels, Texas. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Daniel Olson from Harpersfield, New York. Company H is commanded by Cadet Captain William Knowlton from Fayetteville, Georgia. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Joseph Boyque from Schererville, Indiana. Company I is commanded by Cadet Captain Reagan Killebrew from Germantown, Tennessee. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant William Farkas from Tunnelton, West Virginia. The 2nd Regiment is commanded by Cadet Captain Mary Rotenberg from Yonkers, New York. The Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Sammy Ruggiero from New Fairfield, Connecticut. The 1st Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Sarah Sow from Plymouth, Minnesota. The Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Brian Whitfield from Central Valley, New York. Company A is commanded by Cadet Captain Landon Stauffer from Salisbury, Maryland. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Zachary Neal from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Company B is commanded by Cadet Captain Barrett Connor from Devil's Lake, North Dakota. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Claire Clayson from Wallkill, New York. Company C is commanded by Cadet Captain Garrett Lauterbach from Covington, Louisiana. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant William Cooper from Westport, Connecticut. The 2nd Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Lauren Coleman from Westerville, Ohio. The Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Carl Stahlberg from Hilliard, Ohio. Company D is commanded by Cadet Captain Cale Sheets from Fort Smith, Arkansas. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Nathaniel Whitmore from Big Spring, Texas. Company E is commanded by Cadet Captain Mitchell Walker from Brandon, South Dakota. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Calvin Shepler from Duxbury, Massachusetts. Company F is commanded by Cadet Captain David Blair from Argyle, Texas. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Luke Cho from Woodridge, New Jersey. The 3rd Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Daniel Summerhalder from South Lake, Texas. The Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Claiborne Saylor from Haymarket, Virginia. Company G is commanded by Cadet Captain Hughes Deschner from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Elizabeth Jew from Leesburg, Virginia. Company H is commanded by Cadet Captain Caitlin Johnson from Hampton Cove, Alabama. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Elijah Wyatt from Gorham, Maine. Company I is commanded by Cadet Captain Sam Kreutzmann from Scottsdale, Arizona. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Ivan Ribernik from Predvor, Slovenia. Since the days of the American Revolution, flag bearers have been an important element in ceremonies. At the center of today's formation and bearing the national color is the United States Corps of Cadets Color Guard, led by Cadet Color Sergeant Luke Payne from Owensboro, Kentucky. Marching with the colors is the Brigade Operations Sergeant Major, Cadet Sergeant Major Kayla Teicher from Hinsdale, Illinois.
The 3rd Regiment is commanded by Cadet Captain Jessica Ho from Eagle, Idaho. The Regimental Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Calliot Scheuerman from San Leandro, California. The 1st Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Antonio Daughtery from Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. The Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Eric Kolb from Henrico, Virginia. Company A is commanded by Cadet Captain George Lewis from Falls Church, Virginia. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Tyler Golick from Madison, Alabama. Company B is commanded by Cadet Captain Blake Schreier from Santa Ynez, California. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Jack DeGroat from Dallas, Texas. Company C is commanded by Cadet Captain Eve Crossett from Saratoga Springs, New York. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Jonah Natus from Tenafly, New Jersey. The 2nd Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Catherine LaRue from Carmel, Indiana. The Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Brian Frost from Newburgh, Maine. Company D is commanded by Cadet Captain Robert Nash from Baldwinville, Massachusetts. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Ramsey Barrows from Satellite Beach, Florida. Company E is commanded by Cadet Captain Nancy Osteby from San Francisco, California. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Andrew Evans from Mabane, North Carolina. Company F is commanded by Cadet Captain Garrett Salisbury from Lincoln, Nebraska. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Elijah Gates from Wichita, Kansas. The 3rd Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Emma Larson from Tampa, Florida. The Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Aaron Jacobs from Ellicott City, Maryland. Company G is commanded by Cadet Captain Jasmine Munoz from Silver City, New Mexico. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Nathaniel Obang from Woodbridge, Virginia. Company H is commanded by Cadet Captain Kayla Williams Wright from McDonough, Georgia. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Annalise Agilopoulos from Denver, Colorado. Company I is commanded by Cadet Captain Pavel Shalenko from St. John's, Florida. The first sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Carter Kaufman from Lexington, Illinois. The 4th Regiment is commanded by Cadet Captain Samuel Houston from Fayetteville, North Carolina. The Regimental Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Dylan D'Amico from Sun River, Oregon. The 1st Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Olivia Hancock from Paragould, Arkansas. The Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major Keely Davis from Jasper, Alabama. Company A is commanded by Cadet Captain Reed Dolph from Sedalia, Colorado. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Jackson Mayo from Schofield Barracks, Hawaii. Company B is commanded by Cadet Captain Ida McLaughlin from Bethesda, Maryland. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant A.J. Letchman from Shreveport, Louisiana. Company C is commanded by Cadet Captain Sebastian Witt from Eagle, Colorado. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Brody Ross from Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. The 2nd Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Drew Brulette from Westerly, Rhode Island. The Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major James Cady from Little Rock, Arkansas. Company D is commanded by Cadet Captain Camille Widger from Palm Harbor, Florida. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Farrell Kem from Glen Rock, New Jersey. Company E is commanded by Cadet Captain Anthony Prasad from Independence, Ohio. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant Megan Padrani from Neshannock Station, New Jersey. Company F is commanded by Cadet Captain Samuel Dickerson from Sour Lake, Texas. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet First Sergeant William Kernodle from Charlotte, North Carolina. 3rd Battalion is commanded by Cadet Captain Harrison Wepner from Hume, Missouri. The Battalion Command Sergeant Major is Cadet Command Sergeant Major James Racavalis from Cibolo, Texas. Company G is commanded by Cadet Captain Madeline Suh from Cincinnati, Ohio. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Megan DeClue from St. Louis, Missouri. Company H is commanded by Cadet Captain Gavin Butler from Rome, Georgia. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Daniel Mitchell from Syracuse, New York. Company I is commanded by Cadet Captain Nadia Bazil from St. Louis, Missouri. The 1st Sergeant is Cadet 1st Sergeant Jared Reimer from Brooks, Georgia. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Army song, "The Army Goes Rolling Along." Please feel free to sing along as it is played. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's 4th Class Acceptance Day Parade. We would like to remind everyone to please stay off the plane and out of the cadet area as you exit the parade grounds. Thank you for attending and enjoy the rest of your day. Go Army, beat Navy!